Or we make our clothes from nylon, rayon, or polyester. So, another way that ancient people stored and measured their wealth was in grain. The rich fool said, I will pull down my barns and build greater. There will I bestow all my fruits and my goods. His wealth was in grain and other farm products. So the word rust in verses 19 and 20 is from a Greek word which means an eating. So rats, mice, storms, and insects could eat away at stores of grain. You know, it's interesting, you know, from Canada, people are always telling me, you know, it must be cold there. I mean, now, of course, spring is coming, but they said, you must really notice the difference. You know, there are some advantages to having cold. In fact, in the western part of Canada, where we have, you know, our grains are grown for the most part, and we store them in huge elevators. You know, and once the temperature gets down to 20, 30, 40 below, it kills all the mites and the insects. Much of our grain would be destroyed. And so, there are some good things about real cold. Then you get used to it. So, if your wealth consists of jewelry, then eating away could refer to rust. The third commodity that people in those days put their treasure into was gold and other precious metals. But how do you store gold? Well, you might keep it in your house. But a thief could easily break in and steal. The most common way was to find a hiding place in a field, or on a dark night you go and you bury it. But you run the risk of someone watching you and catching you, and if that happens, they'll come up later and dig it up and it's gone. Matthew chapter 13, verse 44 gives a parable of a man who found treasure stored in a field. And so the phrase where thieves break in could be translated where thieves dig in, because many of the homes were made of dirt, and so it was pretty easy to dig through and to steal the treasure. So Jesus was saying that if we set our hearts on garments, on grain, on gold, we will lose it all. Our gold and precious metals can be taken by thieves or destroyed by rust. The point is that despite our mothballs, our rat poison, our burglar alarms, none of our wealth is secure. The recent corporate scandals in the U.S. are all too familiar. You can lose your savings in an instant. Even if you keep it until you die, you will still leave it behind. For when a rich person dies, he doesn't leave a lot behind. He leaves it all behind. So, earthly wealth, Jesus tells us, is transitory. No matter what you do, no matter how hard you try, you cannot guarantee that you will not lose your possessions. You can lose your health, your talents, your wealth. You can lose it overnight. You can suddenly lose your parents, your brothers, your sisters, your loved ones in an automobile accident. So, whatever it is, if moth or rust can destroy it, if thieves can steal it, if the passing of years can diminish it, if a change of circumstances can wreck it, then it is a treasure that you are storing on the earth. And Jesus says it will not last. Jesus urges us to treasure up lasting treasures. So, the treasures to treasure. The kind of treasure to treasure is determined by the ultimate destiny. Notice that Jesus explains that there are only two destinies for our treasures. One is here on earth, and one is in heaven. So, the first one, treasures on earth, we can discuss in a moment. On the other hand, treasures in heaven cannot be affected by any act of sin or consequences of the fall. These are things that last, that transcend the grave and remain forever. Thoughts from Mount of Blessings. It says, the treasures laid up in heaven is imperishable. No fire, no flood can destroy it. No thief can steal it. no moth or rust corrupt it, for it is in the keeping of God. So, the way to lay up treasures in heaven is to develop a Christ-like character, because that's all we can take with us, is our character. Again, thoughts from Mount of Blessing says, character is the greatest harvest of life, and every word or deed that through the grace of Christ shall kindle in one soul an impulse that reaches heavenward, every effort that tends to the formation of a Christ-like character is laying up treasure in heaven. So, character development is enhanced by actively spending time in personal devotions, in prayer, and in Bible study, so that we can increase in faith, in hope, in charity, all of which Paul says abide. Finally, we lay up treasures in heaven when we actively work toward the salvation of others, so that they too may inherit eternal life. Ellen White underscored the importance of reaching out to others in soul winning, in evangelism, in Christian service, when she wrote in Acts of the Apostles, strength to resist evil is best gained by aggressive service. So, the way to avoid treasuring up treasures on the earth is to treasure treasures in heaven by developing a Christ-like character, maintaining a personal relationship with Christ through personal devotions and witnessing. At the final day, when the wealth of the earth shall perish, he who has laid up treasures in heaven will be